Okay, so welcome again to this presentation. I'm going to share my screen and please let me know if you can see it. Can you?
Yes, Miss.
Yeah, okay, so go ahead, Miss Karen.
Okay, I'm sorry because of that connection problem. I don't know what's wrong, but nowadays that's something that we face because we work in a virtual way now. So these things happen most of the time. So we have to be, we have to understand that these things can happen even in an important presentation just like this. So welcome again. My name is Karen. As I was saying, I have been working here with Miss Ali and in other places, like the one I'm working now. The school I'm working, it's American School of Tapachula. Maybe you already know what school I'm talking about. I'm not from Tapachula, I'm from Pijijiapan, and I have been living here for 10 years. I never travel abroad, so all my English have been learning through this school. The one you are learning now. So let me talk about my presentation. Miss, can you move to the next slide, please? Thank you. Private school teaching experience. I have to be honest with you. I never thought that I had to be, I'm gonna be teaching in a private school, but the opportunity was given, so I took it. I didn't hesitate to face this challenge because it was a challenge for me to be teaching there. Why? Because I didn't know anything about being in front of a big group and in an official school. So let me tell you and talking to you about the table of content. I'm going to talk about 5 important things here about my memories, some memories that are really important for me as a student. So I'm going to explain you everything. Like a summary. I'm not going to tell you everything at all, but I have to tell you the most important things that I face as a student, my expectations about being working in that school, the education system about American School of Tapachula, reality, and finally, it's going to be in a global way, my experience. So the first one, it's memories. Why memories? Why are they so important for me? I wanna let you know that these memories talk about situations that changed my thoughts and my development. That means the way I'm working now. And Miss, if you can move to slide number 6, I'm gonna talk only about 2 memories that are really important for me. The first one is adunach in 2 specific classes, teaching children and vocabulary class. If you see there, you can look at my emoji and it was not like a happy face. Why is it that? Because I remember that I was a teacher Adrian class and he invited me to be in front of the group to make simulations about teaching vocabulary. And I remember these 2 words, a rainbow, maybe you know what a rainbow means now, fed up, but I wasn't. I didn't know at that time when I was in front of my class the meaning of these words. So teacher Adrian was inviting me to demonstrate how can I teach this vocabulary to my students. And I was afraid, I was nervous, I didn't know what to do. And he told me that we have different ways in which we can teach vocabulary, body language, making drawings, and I was so nervous that I didn't know what to do. So, but I learned from that situation because I was wondering myself, what kind of teacher would I like to be? The one that frees at these situations or the one that wants to become better? So that's my first experience at school. And then I have another one that was at American School of Tapachula. That was my first time in the private school. So I was getting into the school, a little girl came to me and started talking to me. I was greeting her in Spanish. I said, hola, ¿cómo estás? In Spanish. And what do you think that happened? She answered me in English because I was in a bilingual school. And I just thought that because it was a little kid, she wasn't able to talk to me in English. So it was like my emotion. I just fell down. Again, I felt bad again, but then you will maybe wonder this now, I mean, at this moment, so what is she doing here? My answer will be for that question, I never give up. I learned and I became better. So that's the most important memories that I will never forget about. I will always remember it because that made me be the teacher I am now. So now, which ones are my expectations when I start at that school? You know, when you are at school, you wonder or you expect to teach only English. And teaching English, it is only about grammar, vocabulary, and that's it. And the truth is that is not. It is not only grammar and vocabulary. You also work with the 4 skills that are listening, reading, speaking. So the most important thing is that our teachers tell us every day. I'm not saying that our teachers are liars, because they are not. We also teach this, but at these situations, or at my experience working in a private school, is that it is totally different. Why? I start working, yes, teaching English. And Miss, can you move to the next one, please? And I start working with this book. This book met my expectations. Why? Because I was working with grammar, I was working with vocabulary, I was using some flashcards related to the topics, and I said, wow, all what my teachers told me are true. I'm teaching what I like. I'm teaching grammar, I'm teaching vocabulary, and that's why I practice at school. That's the things that you are practicing now. But then I realized that working in a private school, it is totally different. Why? Why is it? Because I started learning about education system at this school. Why is it? Why is it different? Because when I start working at that place, the first thing I have to know, it is that the education system is divided in 4 areas: preschool, elementary school, secondary school, and high school. Preschool is confirmed by 3 levels, elementary school 6 levels, secondary school 3 levels, and high school also 3 levels. I'm going to focus only at elementary school because that's what my experience took place. In preschool, but just let me tell you a little about this. In preschool, teachers, the English teachers, do not have a book. What they have to do is that they have to translate everything that the Spanish teacher is teaching at that time. So that means the students learned the same topic, but in both languages, in Spanish and in English. I was interviewing a preschool teacher, and she told me that it was a challenge because she didn't have a guide in which, or a syllabus that she has to follow. So every day she was like thinking a lot of what is she gonna teach at the next, in the next day. And then we have elementary school that we not only teach English, we also teach science. We also teach reading, straightness for reading, and different stuff that I'm going to talk about later. Secondary school is also another challenge. I was working in a secondary school level for 2 years, and I was not only teaching English. I have some partners that are teaching geography, history, and all the students have, at the end of the year, they have to present a final project in which they talk about math and the other subjects they are learning in Spanish, even in Spanish. So why are they working with these projects in English? Because students by that time, they have to demonstrate all the English language they are already acquired through the English classes, of course. The same happens to high school. But as I said before, I'm going to focus only in elementary school. Miss, can you move to the next one? So that brings us up to the reality. What was the reality at the time? In elementary school, I didn't teach only English. It is not only grammar, and it is not only about spelling. I also teach science class in reading. And literally my face was like that emoji, like really reading. Because you know, as a student, when you are attending the classes and you also been part of a reading class at the school, and you will say, oh my God, why are we learning this if we are not going to use it later? But the truth is that we do it. In this case, I'm doing it because I'm not only working with English, I'm working with science and also reading that talks about comprehension skill and life connections. It is a challenge for me. Yes, it is. Because imagine that my first time was with fifth grade students, and I have to teach the menstruation cycle. The body changes, and I know the topic. I know everything about these topics, but I didn't know how to teach them, how to talk about this to the students. So it was like, how am I gonna teach someone about menstruation cycle? And I was like, okay, I was listening to the principal who was talking to me, explaining me that I have to teach these topics, but my mind was like, how am I gonna do it? I didn't practice this at school. I always practice how to teach English, but I never prepare myself to teach science class like this, or being part of a laboratory class, doing experiments with little kids. And let me tell you something, I'm working with kids with that are in first and second grade. So think about it, how I'm doing it. It is a challenge, it is, but it is not impossible. You can do it. So at slide number 14, I'm gonna start talking about my experience here. And I wanna let you know that I have two different ways in which I experience giving English classes, face-to-face, and you know that nowadays we are teaching in a virtual way. That means online classes. How was it? I was wondering myself every day how I'm gonna teach these topics facing English, not in English, science, reading, to the little ones. You know that in some cases, not in all cases, but in some cases, students do not read even in Spanish. So it is like, how are you gonna do it? Or how are you gonna make them to read, to understand everything in English if they are learning Spanish? But what I have to tell you is that the age, it is really important, because they are at the best age of acquiring English language. So it is not difficult. You have to speak to them. To them every time in English, and maybe at the beginning they will be like, "What is the teacher saying?" But if you continue like this, if you don't stop, if you continue talking to them in English, they will acquire the language. They will do it. And I'm sure of what I'm saying, because I have been working at that school for five, almost 6 years with little ones. And let me tell you that at the beginning of this experience, I wasn't expecting that my little kids speak in English at all, but they are doing it. And it is amazing. It is also to listen the little ones speaking in English. At the beginning, it's like, Miss, ¿puedo ir al bathroom? But they have start speaking in English. If you invite them to always speak in English, then there is going to be, Miss, ¿puedo go to the bathroom? And then is it going to be, may I go to the bathroom? And when the little ones say those expressions, really, you will be the happiest teacher ever, because that happened to me. And then let me tell you about nowadays. As I showed you before, I was working with a book. Nowadays, let me tell you that we are not using a book about teaching grammar and vocabulary. So what do? And Miss, can you move to the next one, please? What do I do every day with my, even though I don't have nowadays, an English book to teach them grammar and vocabulary, I didn't stop. What I do every day is that I have to look for activities like online worksheets, like worksheets I'm showing you now, and I never stop looking for other resources to teach my students. So now I'm not using a book to teach grammar and vocabulary, but I'm always looking for new resources that will allow me to teach them. They're talking about English nowadays, because I used to work with a grammar and vocabulary book, but nowadays we are not. But we didn't stop. We are continue teaching grammar and vocabulary, but in a different way. Now, let's talk about science and take a look of those pictures. I think they are small because there is not in a full screen. Can you make it bigger? Thanks. Just take a look of the pictures, and at the end of the presentation, I will ask you, and I will invite you to share the point of view about this. If you can see here, working with science, it is not only about your body, it is about everything. It is about everything, just like this. And if you can look at these activities, maybe you will say, oh my God, they are maybe for older ones, but they are not. If you take a look at all of these activities, maybe you will say, oh my God, are they doing these activities with little ones? My answer will be yes. That ones are some examples. That's an experiment that I was working with my students. So they will not only read, they are gonna learn by doing different experiments in which they are going to learn how what the book says is in real life. And then let me tell you that if we move to the next one, Miss, those examples of different activities come from a Blue Planet level 1. So that means first grade students. And you will say, maybe it's an advanced activity, but let me tell you that the school I'm working with make students to have an advanced level, and they have them. They understand everything. Maybe at the beginning it's not easy for them, because as I'm working with first graders, they think that elementary school is going to be the same as preschool. That everything is play, and that always you're going to learn, they are going to learn by playing, and it is not like that. They have to read. Yes, we play, of course, we make different interactive activities, but they learn in different ways. And this is an example of how I work with science. And I never practice this at Unach, because our teachers didn't tell me that we have to find these situations, but I face it, and I learned a lot. And now I'm so happy to work like this, because it is not only for the students, it is only for you as the teacher. Because I acquired my vocabulary, at the beginning there were some words in which I even didn't know the meaning of those words, and I have to teach it, and I learned. And then we have the next book that talks about strategies for reading, and it is not only to read. We have different steps that Adunach already told you about, that we have. Adunach is like pre-readings, while reading, and post-reading. Here they are named as before reading, during reading, and after reading, that is the same. And that ones are the books that we use. Look at them. You can observe in the, Miss, can you sum the picture? If you can see there are some works. There is a verb that is in past, and you will say, you only work with past verbs or verbs in past with only older ones. No, you have to teach them even with the little ones. But then you have to find the different ways in which you can make them to understand, to learn this vocabulary, following the pictures, using all the resources you have. And at the end of the day, they will learn. It is not easy. Yes, it is not, but you can do it. And it is not only for reading. You have to teach them comprehension strategies of how little ones can understand the readings. You have to use many different ways, like body language, like performing the reading. You invite the students to participate, and that's the way we start working with readings. And I remember that I used to have a class at UNACH that talks about this, but we never practice giving a reading class. We always practice only with how to teach English, focus on the 4 skills, but never with a specific subjects, like the ones that I'm working with. And take a look of the next activities. It is not only reading. In some, these ones are some examples of pre-reading and after reading. The first ones talk about identifying details, and you will say, how are little ones are gonna do it? Well, let me tell you that you have to find different ways to teach those students. And if you can read the sentences, maybe you will say, oh my God, that ones are not sentences for little ones, but yes, they are. And that's something, that's an important characteristic of the school. They are always up to date, and they are always looking for new strategies, new books to make students to speak in English all the time, to make them in an advanced level. And you as teacher have the challenge to make that goal. Then one more time, these examples of these activities are from readings ones. That means the book that I'm being working with first graders. Miss, can you move to the next slide so you can see that I'm not lying? That's true. It's a book from first grade, and you maybe will say, oh my God, maybe the little ones will get stressed. Let me tell you that no, it is not. They enjoy, but everything depends on you as teacher. The method you will use, the different ways you will work with to teach them. How are you gonna make them to understand everything? At the beginning, it's not easy, but at last, it is gonna be the best experience you will face at these situations. Now, that was the way we were working face to face. Now, another challenge for us as teachers nowadays is that we have to work online. And you will say, oh my God, how are you gonna make students to be in front of a computer paying attention to you without any distraction? Let me tell you that that's something you have to face every day. But your task is to make them be here, paying attention at you, and to involve to the class. And they will participate. Let me talk about my schedule. I start working with little ones at 7:50. From 7:15 in the morning, you know, all the kids wants to be sleeping instead of sitting on a chair, paying attention to the online class with a teacher that is always speaking in English. And in first grade, like, oh my God, in preschool, my teacher was talking to me in English, but she was also talking to me in Spanish. In this time, I have to, I mean, what I do at the beginning is that just for only 1 month, I use the sandwich method. To speak in English, Spanish, then English, just for only 1 month. Then after that month, I have to start speaking to them only in English. And you give them the chance to learn what you're saying in Spanish that is going to be the same in English. So they start learning and they understand everything you're gonna say. So what happened with online classes? Miss, can you move to the next one? Well, let me tell you that this connection between students and teacher, it is really a challenge. How are you gonna do it? Well, there are different ways in which you have to do it. I have to move my table, I have to move my computer, I have to dance. Maybe the person that is going to be next to you is going to say, oh my God, that person is really crazy. But you have to do it for your students. And your students will appreciate it. Maybe you will say that, oh my God, my students are making fun of me. And yes, they will, but they are gonna learn. And they are gonna remember you as the teacher, as the funny teacher who makes them to be here, paying attention. And one of the parents sent me a WhatsApp message, and that person told me, teacher, I don't know how you do it, but my kid is always happy and waiting for your class. Why? Because the way I teach, they really like them. I am not a normal teacher, if I can say that, because while they are working, I always play music in English. When I don't do that, my students are like, Miss, we want to listen music. I want to listen music, English music, because Spanish music, Spanish songs are not allowed in my class. And when they are working, as much as they listen all the English songs, they start singing. And I'm like, I'm turn off my camera and start smiling like a crazy girl, because I'm really happy of what I make them do. That means with my students. So this connection between students and teachers are really important, not only face-to-face, it is only with online classes. And let me tell you something important about my school is that at this school, they have some platforms in which we have to work with. And since the online classes start, we were using the SM Educamos plataforma. That was the platform we were start working with. And at that platform, we just register everything, all the activities that our students do in our classes. But nowadays, we are also using Microsoft Teams to teach to the little ones. We use other resources in which we can get our students' attentions. So these ones are the platforms I'm using now. And Miss, can you move it? We use the SM Educamos and we use the Teams platform. And even though we are not face-to-face, we have all the resources online. If you can see, that's the same book, but it's a digital book. And we not all, what I mean is that we not only use the book, we also find some activities that our students do through this platform, like identifying the title of the book, like the outdoor, the pictures, and different activities like prefix. You will maybe say, oh, are they working with prefixes with first grade? Yes, maybe not all the prefixes at the same time, but we start at least with one, and that's an evidence of one student sent me through Teams. And if you consider, they got all the answers in a successful way. Why? Because we always practicing these type of activities before working in an online way. So these ones are another examples of how we work in a virtual way. And if you can see, it is the same book, but just in a different way. You can see how can we make connections, live connections, by asking them how can, for example, if we are talking about unhappy and happy, we can ask the students to share how do they feel happy, what makes them to feel unhappy, and they start getting involved to the reading. And we also practice vocabulary, and that's the way we can make live connections with students. This is about readings. We also have another different ways to teach the other ones. And let me show you the next one, Miss Boyce. I'm not only using, even though that the school tells me that I have to use only SM platform, Teams platform, I'm not only using that ones. I'm using now Nearpod. I don't know if you already use Nearpod, or if you listen about Nearpod, let me tell you that if you're working with students, because you know, while you are studying at the school, maybe you are working, and if you are doing that, you can try it with Nearpod. It's a nice platform in which you can practice with students. And if I have time, I would like to show you a lesson that I did with my students, and they really enjoy to work with Nearpod. Let me tell you about resources about science. I use PBS Kids, live worksheets, and of course, YouTube interactive videos that help me to teach my class. And let's go back, let's move to the next one, and at the same time go back about teaching children. This is one of the things you do in that subject. You have to make the environment for the students. That's how my classroom looks nowadays. I'm working with first grade and second grades, and that's how I decorate my class. And they really enjoy, not only me, all the teachers do that, because that's one of the things you have to do at this school. I'm not saying that you are gonna do all the things I'm doing now in the other private schools, because I don't know how do they work, but at least at this one, that is American School of Tapachulas, we work like this. And we apply what I learned. I'm teaching children to decorate my classroom, to make the environment better for the students. And this is how we are working face-to-face and online at the same time. That is my third challenge, because we are not only working with the kids that are coming to the school. We are working at the same time with online students. You will wonder, how is she doing it? Well, all the resources that school provides are really awesome. How? Because if you can show them the other ones, Miss, please.
Yeah.
Let me tell you how. That ones are, we use a TV in which we use that resource with enough equipment with our laptops, so we can, what I'm showing to my virtual students, my little ones that are face-to-face to me at the classroom, they can see it through the TV. So while I'm teaching to the virtual ones, the ones that are face-to-face to me at the classroom, I learn in the same. And you will say, one of the rules at my school is that the students that are face-to-face, they are not allowed to have an advantage from the ones that are in a virtual way. They have to learn at the same time, the same things with the same activities. What do I have to do? When I'm using live worksheets, I print them for the ones that at classroom. So they work with the same activities. The ones that are online do the activities through the computer, and the ones that are face-to-face to me, they are working at that time in front of me, and they are doing it. It is a challenge. Yes, it is. It is difficult. Well, that depends on you. Is it impossible? No, it's not. At the beginning, I was like, oh my God, what am I gonna do it? I have to be in charge of the students that are face-to-face to me, and the ones that are online, how am I gonna do it? Maybe I'm gonna turn it on myself or turn it off, but I never give up. I always learning new things, and I call them like a challenge, the ones that are not impossible, because that's the way I'm working now. And I start work like this at the same time with the ones that are face-to-face and with online students at the same time. And I have been working like this since last July. So if you can count the months, it is not impossible. And the phrase I always say to myself, and you can make it yours if you want, is that you have to make an effort, not an excuse, because we can say many excuses, but if you want to make a difference to your students, you have to be better. So that's, I know you're not asking me for an advice, but that's my advice, and it's for free, because you have to make the decision of what kind of teacher would you like to be, would you like to become. And let me tell you that I wasn't the best one at school, but I always trying to do my best. And I'm really happy to be here sharing what my experience is, because it was not easy. It was a challenge, as I said before, but it is not, let me tell you that it's not impossible. You can do whatever you want. Just ask yourself, evaluate yourself. And let me tell you something else. You have to be open-minded at any comments of someone is going to tell you, because they are going to be the ones that made you feel happy and the ones that made you feel sad. But you learn from all of them. I never give up when someone told me, you're not doing it good. You have to, but I learn. And I try to take the best of all the comments. Maybe I'm not good, or I'm not the best one at pronunciation of some of the words, but I'm always practicing, I'm always learning, because being a teacher, that doesn't mean that you know everything. You are learning every day from your students, from your partners, from even from the parents, the students' parents, because you know, when you are working in a private school, parents feels like they have the power, and they are allowed to tell you whatever they want, but it's not like that. It is not like that. It is not as easy as you think, but it's not as difficult as you think also. So that depends on you. So this is my experience. If you have any questions, I would like to show you a lesson through Nearput, so maybe you will be interested in working with that platform. Let me tell you that is a nice platform in which you can work with your students. It is really, really interactive. I always play with my students, and at the same time I'm learning. So this is the time for you guys. I want to listen to you. Don't be shy and ask any question. And that's the way you can contact me.
Okay, Miss Karen, would you like to share the experience first, or you want to know if there are questions? Or you want me to stop sharing so you can share with us the class? Or where is the class that
Well, they are thinking if they have any question, I will, I'm gonna try to open my lesson. Okay. So I can show you, and before open it, I will give them the chance to say any comments they want to say.
And you know, I'm very happy to see here some students from fifth semester, because I invite them to attend this talk, because I was telling them that, okay, teaching, becoming an English teacher with children is not just teaching English. And this is something that maybe when I say that, they don't understand, because they don't realize all these things. And then when they have the opportunity to work in these private schools, they decide not to do it, because they say, no, I better not, because it's a challenge. And, you know, as Ms. Karen told you, okay, he has never been abroad, and she speaks very good English. And it's because she is a very good student of the language. She has been learning and is learning from every experience, but she did a great effort. She learned a lot from the books, and she told me, Miss, I have to teach science, and then in secondary, you even have to teach history and geography in English. Okay, so you are not just teaching English, you are teaching in English, as we do at the language school of Tapachula. I don't teach English. I teach you how to teach children in English. So you practice the language. And something that Ms. Karen told you that is really important, that is my advice too, speak in English to your students all the time, because it's the only input they will receive. Sometimes their parents don't speak English, and maybe they do, but they don't usually speak in English at home. Okay, so you are the only one that provides the input. Ms. Karen is focusing on grammar and vocabulary. Why? Because the listening and the speaking is there all the time, because they are listening to the English language, and the teachers must be speaking in English, even during recess, even during the meetings. The English teachers must be speaking in English all the time. And that's the only way in which you can take your kids to have a high English level. So it's what happened to Miss Karen. She was surprised of this girl telling her her name in English. Oh, my name is, wow, how come? Because you did it, okay? You did it. Okay, so please think in these questions, and if you want to ask a question to Ms. Karen, please raise your hand. Raise your digital hand, and we can open the microphone for you. Let me see if someone here. Alondra is raised. It's claps. Is this claps, Alondra, or you want to ask something? Just let us know in the chat and we can open the microphone if you want. My invitation is to that. Do you remember that we tried to decorate the classroom and do things? Okay, this is the place where you can use all things that we do. Digital flashcards with sound, with movement. Okay, all that we have been working in teaching children is for this. And look, now Ms. Karen is working in both modalities, face-to-face and online. We don't know next year, next school year, we don't know if we are going to be in face-to-face again or not. Ms. Karen, can we share the class?
Yes, let me try to do it. Maybe it's going to be slowly because I'm going to open the way you can see it as teachers and the way your students are going to see your lesson. Okay. So I'm going to share both of them.
Okay, because we have 6 more minutes.
All right, so I'm going to be as fast as I can. Let me open it.
Meanwhile, if you have a comment or a question,
I shared the link through the chat. I don't know if
Okay.
they are allowed to watch it, but if you want to join to the lesson to be part of this, you can do it. I'm gonna be fast, but you can explore how you're gonna see it as a student. Okay. Yes, Ms. Lourdes, do you wanna say something?
Let me, Licenciado Berlin, can you help me open the microphone, abrir el micrófono de Miss Lulu, Miss Lourdes Harumi Nakamura? A ver si puedo. Okay, Miss Lulu?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Miss Ali, Karen, Manzo.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Miss.
Good afternoon, Miss Lulu.
Well, this is only a praising comment on your professional work, Karen. I do remember you as a student in the past when you were one of our students at Lenguas. Then I see you nowadays as a colleague, and I have seen all the work you have been doing. So what I can say to you is be proud of yourself, keep going, be proud of your work, and keep going, and keep being the best teacher you want to be.
Thank you, Miss. Thank you very much for your comment.
Thanks, Miss Lulu. Okay, Miss Karen, go ahead.
Can you see what I'm sharing?
Yes.
Well, this is the way you will see your Neurput lesson. That as I was saying, it is not only English. So I open a science lesson. I prepare to my little ones, students, so they can practice and be ready for the test. Because nowadays we are testing them. So this is the way you're gonna see them. See the lesson as teacher. And you can prepare many different activities like matching pairs so they can practice vocabulary. You can allow them to make drawings about a specific topic. For example, this talks about parts of the left in which they were practicing. This is the way they are gonna see the lesson and they are gonna do the lesson. They are gonna see this message that says you will have 3 minutes, wait for the teacher, because I'm gonna allow them to make them. For example, I'm gonna press the start activity button. It says, and then it starts, and you have this. So you can, all the tools you can use to make the drawing, to do the exercise, like draw left and label this part. If you don't know what the parts of the left are, so let me tell you that they have 3 main important parts that are named as veins. There are this one. The one that we know as a stem with the left, it is named as petiole. And the body of the left, it is named as blade. So they are allowed to make these drawings and learn at the same time. And the one that they like the most, because you can do different, okay, thank you, Carmita. You are doing it. You're doing the activity. That's really nice. And you can see what your students are doing because this one is a live lesson. So you can do what students are doing while you are giving them the chance to do the activity. This one is for making drawings. I'm going to move fast, sorry, Carmita, but I wanna just show you what kind of activities can you do here. You have to start the activity, the students will see like this, and you can match the pairs, vocabulary, with the works and the picture. So students will practice what the vocabulary from the class was. And these ones like butterfly, which ones are the butterfly, the sunlight, the stem, the chrysalis. Maybe you know some of these words, maybe not, but my students already know them because that is why I made this lesson for them. And the ones that they like the most, what they really like the most, and I'm sorry again, Carmita, because I'm moving fast because of the time, is you have another time of activity is fill in blanks. So you allow to your students to form different sentences. You have the words there. You write the sentence, remove some words, and they have to put them in the sentence. This activity was talking about the functions of the parts of a plant. And as you can see, it is not only about teaching grammar and vocabulary. This is a science lesson. And my students were learning this, and I find different ways to make them reviewing what they learned from a class. And the last one, the one that they really like the most, and I'm sorry again, Carmita, because you are there, it is this one, like a little game in which they have to choose a character. It change, the background change according to the holiday. Maybe in the next week it is going to be for the Thanksgiving theme because it is going to change at Christmas. Now I'm going to choose this just to give you an idea of what the activity is. So they have to choose a character. These ones are all the characters that are allowed from this lesson. They choose maybe this, for example, they choose the character. They press the button to start the game. Carmita is there. Hello, Carmita. Thanks for being there. She's trying. At least she's trying to be there. Even though I'm moving fast, she's trying. This is the way you see it as teacher, and that is the way students will see the lesson. And when you start the game, it is going to tell you, the points your students will get. And this is the way they are going to look at the activity. How does this animal move? Is it by swim, by flying, by jumping, or walking? You will choose the answer, and then you can make as much as questions as you want, and they are practicing, and the characters start moving. And we are like, oh my God, kids, I'm gonna win this. I'm gonna be better than you. And then start like, no, miss, we are gonna be better because we learn from you. I'm gonna be faster, and they really enjoy this kind of lessons. So if you never heard about Nearpod, I will invite you to try it. It is really interactive, and your students will appreciate that you do this type of activities with them because they are learning, they are playing, and they really enjoy this kind of lessons. And this is the way you can see what students progress while they are working, and this is the way they see the lesson. So I'm showing you the both sides, as teacher and as a student. So it is not difficult. You can learn how to use it. You are doing it good, Carmita. And you can practice with this. You can learn also how to make them, and you can try with your students. Your students will love it, and will love you too if you do this kind of activities. So that's what I want to show you. I'm going to stop, Miss, because I know we don't have time. So I'm going to stop. I'm sorry, Carmina, again.
Okay, Miss Karen, thanks a lot. You share many things with us. We learned a lot. And well, just now, what I have to do is to say thank you and to share with you this paper that says Universidad Autónoma de Chiapas, Escuela de Lenguas Campus Tapachula, otorga la presente constancia a la licenciada en enseñanza del inglés Karen Esthela Manzo Alonso por haber impartido la ponencia titulada Private School Teaching Experience en el evento virtual Homecoming 2020, 20 Years of Language Teaching, el día jueves 11 de noviembre 2021 en la ciudad de Tapachula, Chiapas. Homecoming 2020, 20 Years of Language Teaching, firmado por el licenciado Antonio Bolaños Gutiérrez, director, maestro Adrián de Jesús Girón Chávez, secretario académico, y la maestra Lilia Alejandra Gómez de Lucio, coordinadora de desarrollo institucional. Y nuevamente, mis Karen, muchísimas gracias por haber impartido esta ponencia que nos ha dejado tanta enseñanza, y yo espero que los chicos busquen las oportunidades de trabajar ahí mismo o en otras escuelas que van a darles a ellos retos en donde su nivel de inglés va a elevarse por estar ellos, ¿verdad?, preparándose, capacitándose para ser capaces de impartir este tipo de clases en inglés. Así que muchísimas gracias, Miss Lulú, muchísimas gracias por acompañarnos, toda la audiencia. En verdad, chicos, les agradezco el haber estado aquí, el haber participado, y espero que se lleven mucha enseñanza y que se lleven ustedes esa inquietud, ¿verdad?, de ser esos maestros que necesita Tapachula, ¿verdad? Que se los he dicho muchas veces, Tapachula necesita maestros como ustedes bien preparados, ¿verdad? Y que sean capaces de desarrollar las estrategias para tener la atención de los alumnos. Van a vender su producto, que es el inglés, de todas las maneras posibles. Gracias por compartir la plataforma, fue muy interesante, Liz. Muchísimas gracias y que tengan un excelente día. Los invitamos a conectarse a alguna ponencia de las 12.
Thank you very much, Miss. Have a wonderful day and try to do your best every day because you are going to become a better teacher. Thank you very much, Miss. Goodbye. Have a wonderful day.
Bye, bye. Bye, bye. Chicos, los invitamos también a conectarse al Talent Show en la tarde, y el día de mañana los esperamos en la escuela para entregarles su kit, para entregarles su platillo, ¿verdad? Y todo lo que vamos a estar ahí esperándolos de acuerdo al número de su boleto. Recuérdenlo, por favor, a las 11 de la mañana del boleto 1 al 100, a las 12 del boleto 101 al 200, a la 1 de la tarde del boleto 301 al 400. Así es que vayan, creo que ahorita me salté uno, pero es cada hora, de las 11, 12, 1 y 2 de la tarde, ¿sí? Por favor, los esperamos el día de mañana.